Hello and welcome to Heart Space, formerly TJ in Your Mind, a poetry podcast with myself, TJ, and featuring every month a guest poet based right here in Berlin. We talk about poetry, love, life, and everything in between. So sit back, relax, and have a listen. For this month's episode, I am so very glad to welcome back a dear friend of mine, Leigh. Leigh is a Berlin-based writer, storyteller, and cultural observer, exploring the world through new perspectives. Her poetry searches the connection we have with self and our higher consciousness, and aims to expose the magic of everyday life, as well as the source of where we all began. Her deep appreciation for the body, rest, rhythm, and humor is reflected in her work. Ladies and gentlemen, Leigh.
The gentle pulse inside me, when you amplify the room, fills the voids of noise that remind me unkept flowers never bloom. The tender voice that melts my brain, all dressed in black the people reign, this world so turned on by a quick escape. But not you. You slow dance me in a trance, a small smile lifts my lips. Like a swing of tranquility, your soul sets motion to my hips. Quick, turn off the screams of apathy to purr into your pitch. Unce, 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 that treble on my bass. Crack the codes over my head and let the truth osculate my waist. Unce, 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 your rhythm tapped in time, each decibel a measure of the wisdom of your kind. Turn me to your frequency and let the hurts hit hard. Tired of complacency, a heart with the same old scars. We're free now, together in this sin, ascending beyond the intimate love that wore the veil out thin, like the final layer of skin that sheds off like a snake, scaling every centimeter of the dragon that takes its place.
So, Leigh, welcome back again.
Woohoo! Thank you so much for having me. It's good to be back in the podcast hot seat.
The podcast hot seat, nice. Like the last episode we recorded, we talked about love, and I was absolutely certain that I wanted to bring you back, talk on the subject yet again, and voila.
Sure, there is much to say about that topic. It was so lovely sharing my heart with you last time, and now, I'm looking forward to maybe a bit of a different conversation.
So, tell us about the poem.
Sure. So I actually just wrote Freakquency this weekend. I went to a music festival and was taken aback by how many people were drawn to the speaker. That song is actually about being in love with a speaker and the sound that comes through. And I was thinking about you, and I was thinking about this podcast and the poem, and I feel like we are so gravitated towards intimate love, romantic love, even family love, friend love, human love, that we sometimes forget about the things that remind us to love ourselves and the things that kind of bring out that frequency in us that aren't necessarily able to respond in the human way that we're used to. So I just specifically saw this one being that was there, and she just felt so safe and protected and loved and herself near this speaker. It was so beautiful to watch, and she just wanted to stay close to it because you could tell that the music and the vibration that emitted from it was just creating this kind of safe bubble around her that allowed her to be kind of carefree and more like her own being. And I was so kind of tickled by that in a way and touched that I just started to think about all of the things that really bring out our self-love. And I think music has such a tendency to do that. Nature, the sounds of the ocean, or, kind of sitting by a tree, all of these things that are around us every day that we normally don't look to for love, but actually do such a huge job in reminding us that it lives within us and all around us.
Absolutely. I mean, I've found that every so often while walking, and not talking with anyone at all, just walking, just looking, little things, and I marvel. And in that marveling, it's like something awakens inside. The thing that jumps out to me that I remember vividly, oh so vividly, many years ago, I was working in Italy, and it was about 4 a.m. or so, and myself and some other musicians, we went to the beach, and we were laid down on the sand, looking up at the sky, and I felt as if I could reach up and touch the sky. It felt so close and so big and so, like, my goodness. In moments like that, you feel the grandeur of life, of the world around you, and it opened me up inside, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Of course. I think it's the most important love. As I was reflecting of it, it's the love of being alive. And that can be rare in moments where you're not maybe in situations that you desire, or your life is not working out the way that you want it to be. And a lot of the times our lovers are the reason for that. And the people that we bring into this intimate space are either making our lives so much richer or so much more difficult, depending on where you're at in your relationship and how it's flowing. But things like music and nature and these like little daily moments that kind of remind you how beautiful being alive is, and kind of really elevate your own frequency to help you relate in such a bigger way, I think is arguably the most important kind of love. Because if you can always reach that place, then you can be a lot calmer in the other types of love that you desire.
I think there's a school of thought that if one finds oneself to be grateful with who you are, what you have, no matter how little or small it is, then you are automatically opened up, because you're dealing from a point of, instead of from a place of I want more, but from a place of, my goodness, look at what I have.
Yeah. We're desperately searching magic and miracles, but it's literally all around us every single day. And I think gratitude has a lot to do with it, but there's also this level of transaction. It is there to interact with us, and it is giving to us just as we're giving to it. And if we are constantly not seeing or not recognizing it or not being grateful for it, I think it also loses its steam in a way, I wonder if like a tree gets a little like, hey, look at all I'm doing for you people, I'm here giving you oxygen to breathe and you're cutting me down. And I think that's like something that I think about a lot, because we love to just give this kind of hierarchy, and we love to give love to just the human, but we forget that there's so many other living things here around us that deserve the same level of love and respect that we also want for ourselves. So, I mean, I'm constantly thanking everything around me, to the point of, it probably looks a bit funny on the street, but it makes me happy, because I am grateful for the ways that, this world lifts me up, when a lot of the time it's the people that are getting me down. The world itself is magic, it's beauty, but the people that live in it and how they interact with it sometimes is what really keeps us low. And I like to remind myself of that.
True, people can be, let's not.
That's another topic. That is another podcast for another time with heavy metal music playing
Yeah,
over
something
top.
like that. Yeah, dive into the mosh pit and
For sure.
then.
For sure. But I was so, even myself, like hearing this music, and I love going to festivals and concerts and clubs and things like that when you can really hear the sound system. And I literally could feel the way my body was vibrating, that some of this stuckness, some of this kind of stagnancy that was left in my bones and inside of me
So
was
it
like
loosened you.
vibrating away, So it wasn't just me being appreciative of the sound around me, but it was actually benefiting me to the point that it was helping me just kind of calm my nervous system and loosen up some of that, nasty energy that maybe I didn't want to live in there anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
And after a day or two of these shows, it felt like I was a bit of a different person in a really good way. Like I just had a cleanse. And I think a really deep love could also provide you with that same kind of feeling where you can just feel like yourself.
It's interesting because it links into like my poem, which is augment yourself with love. And one of the reasons why I wrote that poem is, in music, when you look at chords, maybe the third note and the chord or the fifth, you augment it by raising it a semitone, and to give it so it becomes an augmented third or an augmented fifth, because you've given it a little extra something. So to give it that and to augment yourself with love, I said, because that gives you that little extra, that something,
Absolutely. Yeah, you really can tune into it. And then you start to see it in all of its beautiful definitions. And I think just normally when we speak about it, we hear it in music or poetry or on TV. It is so complicated in nature because it's usually dealing with, human to human love, and relationships in general are messy. But love is not. And I think that we often confuse the two, Getting it right in a relationship is difficult for sure, but it's the love that's there that allows you to work through it.
Indeed, true.
Love in its purest form is actually quite easy.
True, actually. Yeah. I have this this image of love that if you open up to it, you cannot possibly close behind it because it's that big. It's that huge. It's ever expanding. It's ever just there. It's you can't sort of open up your mind and then close the door behind it and say, okay, yeah, that's it, love. I have it trapped in here, and
yeah, everyone wants to trap it, or they think that they have like a limited reserve, and it's like that is such a silly misconception because the love inside of you is unconditional. It's infinite. It doesn't know any bounds, and it literally just flows out of you. It is how you interact with the world and perceive the world. And when we run into limits, it's just the amount of energy we have to exert in order to experience it.
Yeah.
And, I think the best and most delightful relationships, you don't even really have to lift a finger and you love the most. Because you just feel it, you can't help it, and there's no resistance. I think we walk around so broken, a lot of us, and have put so much armor on our hearts that not only is it difficult to give love, but it's hard to receive it.
Very.
So then someone on the end that wants to give it to you is having to find the back door and the trap door and the keys that don't work, and they're just trying to unlock your heart, but we're too scared. And for that, I totally understand, but I'm hoping that over time we can start to recognize how pure and simple it can be, and just let yourself enjoy it. That's why that's why we're here.
What's interesting, actually, I mean, I'm looking at that picture on my wall, and literally the last three letters of family, I saw I love you.
Oh.
The ILW.
For the listeners, this is a picture of all of TJ's beautiful family and friends in a frame that says family.
I literally just saw those last three letters, ILW, and I thought, I love you
Mm-hmm.
straight away. That was the first thing that jumped to my mind, you know. And yeah, I think we have this thing for love when it's, we've been hurt in one way or other, and so we shut off completely. I'm well aware that I'm so very guilty of that myself.
Oh, same.
And then I can't tell you how many people have tried to reach me in one way or another, and they've not been able to, because it's a case of, where is TJ?
Absolutely.
I see him right in front of me and I'm talking to him, but I can't quite. I hear all the words he's saying, but I can't.
Yeah. And that in itself is something that we, as humans have to work on. We sit around and we say, well, where is my love? I have so much love to give. But if you're not willing to receive it, it's not going to be so easy, because that's not fun either, to just be in a relationship where you give and give it, and the other person doesn't know how to give it back.
True.
But I am definitely same, where it just sometimes feels like it's hard to receive.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's like a self-worth thing, or if that is just something that I feel uncomfortable with, but it has been something that I've had to work on so hard over the years, to just let somebody love you. It's you deserve it.
In my conversations with myself, I sort of self-worth, as well as a bit of that fear. It's I think the self-worth isn't conscious, that's subconscious, that's but then the fear, that is partially conscious.
Sure.
And you sort of automatically keep people at an arm's length and say, that's it. It's, without the physically putting out the arm there, but people feel the arm that you put out. They very clearly feel it. It's okay, yeah, that's his end.
Definitely. But I'm sitting here thinking it's invisible. This is just some sort of, invisible cloak that I have around me that is protecting my heart. But then it becomes very obvious that it is aware to everyone that guard is up. Yeah. And, that's just not giving off an invitation for love. And I think some people that respect you and are, consensual beings aren't going to just break down your walls if you're not allowing to open the door.
Yeah, true.
And I think for me and some others that I speak with, sometimes the love we give is the love we expect in return. But the love you need is going to look a lot different, and may not be the type of love that you would give to somebody else. And for me, I think that sometimes doesn't necessarily scare me, but it confuses me, because I'm like, well, that doesn't look like the love that I give.
Exactly.
But then in hindsight, I realize that oh no, I'm getting the love that I need. Yeah. Because I'm different than this person, and I'm seeing the ways and the holes that person needs to be loved, and just like they're seeing the holes in me and the voids that they need to fill, that I'm probably not even aware of, because I've just been walking in it for so long. And I think getting used to that is something that has actually opened up so much love for me in my life, to just realize that they're not doing that to harm or make you feel uncomfortable or to judge. They're just noticing the places in your heart that are, need a little bit of extra care.
Yeah, without a doubt. And there was something else. I heard a quote by someone, and she said, love doesn't hurt you. And I almost screamed at my computer, that's a lie.
Blasphemy!
Exactly. Because the love you speak of, the love you were speaking of just there, sometimes that hurts like crazy, because it's exactly what you need. And the visual that always comes to mind is when you've been hurt and you haven't tended to the wound for a long time, it scabs over and everything, and when you start to treat it, It hurts.
Sure.
Because you've got to remove whatever you've wrapped around it first. You've got to remove the scabs. Then you've got to clean the wound. Then you've got to disinfect and everything before you start treating. All of that hurts.
Totally. That is a disgusting yet very accurate analogy. Because it's so true. You have to just make that room to heal, and you have to acknowledge its existence. And a lot of the times these people, and not just romantic love, family, friends, any person that we interact with and have love for, become mirrors for us, and we have to see the things inside of us that we may have been avoiding.
Exactly.
And I think for you to fully walk around this place loving fully, loving purely, you have to really do that to yourself. And we can't, as much as we try to push and push and push down the things that, you know, we're looking to avoid, there's no way out. You know, it's going to come out your feet or your ears or your, you know, something. These bodies are limited in that way, where we can't hide from the things, and it actually feels so much better to just let them out and then figure out what type of ointment they need
Exactly, yeah,
to
exactly.
continue your metaphor.
Exactly.
To just, like to heal it, to get us full, that we can then enjoy these other little nuanced loves that are around us every single day.
My, I could sit and talk about this for ages, but I think we need to, we need to bring it down a touch and close out. So before we close out, dear wonderful, wonderful Leigh, do you have a quick message for our listeners?
Wow, you really put me on the spot there. I would just say to enjoy the moments, all of them, pay close attention to all the things that are around you, down to the way the wind is moving and down to the smile you can give to somebody on the street, because you have no idea what that's going to do to brighten their day or yours.
Wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, Leigh.
Thank you so much, TJ, for having me. Always, always, always a pleasure.
Thank you ever so much. When all is afire around you, when your world is crumbling around you, when none but foes surround you, augment yourself with love. When barbed words seek to maim you, when distracted minds seek to claim you, when troubled souls disdain you, augment yourself with love. Augment yourself when you feel less than. Augment yourself when you feel pressed down. Augment yourself, it does more than stress can. Augment yourself with love. When the world makes no sense, when evil deeds bring no recompense, when problems arise and you feel dense, augment yourself with love. When you feel the darkness closing in, when you feel the way ahead is dangerously thin, when you feel nothing deep within, augment yourself with love. Augment yourself when you feel less than. Augment yourself when you feel pressed down. Augment yourself, it does more than stress can. Augment yourself with love. Without and within, augment yourself. Ignore the din. Augment yourself. and with goosebumps on your skin. Augment yourself, always and forever. Augment yourself with love. Thank you for joining us on Heart Space. It is always a pleasure to have you with us. We will return in a month with another special guest. In the meantime, if you enjoyed this poem, it, as well as a number of others, is available in my latest poetry compilation book, Perfectly Imperfect, available as a Kindle download or in print via Amazon and all major online retailers. And of course, we can be found on Instagram at heartspace_Berlin. We meet fairly regularly in person right here, so feel free to come join us. We'd love to welcome you. Once again, thank you for listening.